You know you're supposed to be using your CRM, so why aren't you? So many people are looking for the new app, the new idea that's going to help them with their leads in their business. But if you're not capturing your leads, you're like a fisherman with the net, but at the end of the day, the net has a hole in it. So any fish that actually come into your net are actually going to leave on the other end. Welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, my name is Bennett Schwartz, and I help people live a both richer personal and professional life. So if you're looking to live a wealthier life, make sure to hit the subscribe button. In this video, I'm going to share with you the tips that I personally used when I started using my CRM, and it really doubled my business just by collecting certain information. The first question we need to really ask ourselves is, what does CRM actually stand for? And it means customer relationship management. And the basic idea of it is that anybody who comes into your sphere of your business, you want to be able to have a location for them and put them into a place that you can actually follow up. Because the difference between the people who are just getting started and the people who are making millions in their business is the follow-up. Most people don't realize, but follow-up is more important, and most deals come from following up with somebody. So if you're not following up with old leads that you used to have, it is extremely important to start making that list and to start running down that information. Here are some tips that I personally use when I make my CRM. So the first is writing their name, where you found them, and if you have any contact information, whether that's a phone number, an email, or if you find them on social media, what their name is on social media. Because it is so key to recognize that you might have a name with somebody, and in 3 months from now, you're going to look back and not know where this person actually came from. So it is so key to give yourself certain clues that you can actually go back and find this person, or at least find the conversation that you've been having with them. The second thing is that you want to write notes. So one of the things that a lot of these cool CRM apps have is that you can actually have a place where you can write notes and take notes based on your previous conversation. If you could take notes based on your previous conversation, when you come up to speed with them, you're going to be able to build that rapport a lot quicker because you can start off where you last left off. That is so key when you're following up with people, because if you can mention certain things that you spoke about weeks or months ago, they're going to be so impressed based on the information that you already have. The first time I really saw this, I was working with my financial advisor, and every couple of months when I would get on the phone with them, what I would see is that they would always ask me about my kids. At first, I'm like, that's so amazing that they're able to remember my kids' names. But then I realized they probably just wrote it down, and every time they pick up the phone to call me, they're always asking me how my kids are doing. Even now that I know they're doing it on purpose, to me, it feels amazing that somebody's actually caring about me and what's going on in my life. So when you write the notes, you also want to be able to write what's actually happening, but maybe consider writing down something personable that happened. So if they mention that they have a dog, they mention they live in a specific area, find out certain personal details so you can make that personal connection right from the get-go. The next idea is that when you are writing your notes, what you want to actually do is you want to write down a question inside your CRM that you're going to ask them the next time you speak. You see, you might have a conversation, but what is that one thing that you were actually trying to figure out? So the next time you can ask them this question. Once I started doing that, every time I would reach up and follow up to somebody, it wouldn't be just a, hey, how are you? I'm just following up. It was, hey, how are the cold calls going? Or you know what? How are the decisions coming along? I know we spoke about that a few months ago. And by making it more personable and writing down that question after our first or second call, to me was so key because it would actually help me when I would be able to follow up. It didn't have to be a general follow-up. I could get specific and start the conversation going. You also have to realize that you actually have to follow up with them. So the whole point of the CRM is to put all this information in one place, but not just to have it there, but to actually do the follow-up. And one of the biggest questions I get is, Bennett, how often should I be doing it? And my answer to that is pretty often. So in the beginning, I would try to follow up every couple of days. And if you see that they're ghosting you or whatnot, I would follow up every 2 or 3 weeks. And I would do that for as long as it takes for them to tell you to stop. You see, I had this one lead that was a really hot lead, and for some reason, he just stopped answering. But he didn't tell me to stop. And every 2 or 3 weeks, I would reach out to him. And I knew it was something that I could really help him with. And I kept following up saying, hey, what's going on? How are things going? Asking questions based on our previous conversation. And then about 7 months later, I texted him and he's like, all right, Bennett, I'm ready to start. But if I would have stopped and not followed up with this person, he wouldn't have signed and I wouldn't have been able to help him. So we had to recognize that, yes, we might think that people might get annoyed, but if they're getting annoyed, they'll tell you they're getting annoyed. And if they tell you, then I would stop because that's annoying. But what about yourself? Have you ever been in a situation where maybe you don't want something right now, but you know you're still interested a little bit? Maybe you subscribe to an email list, or maybe somebody's been reaching out to you and you're just just not ready for it, but you know that eventually you might be open to that idea. So the same thing with other people. Sometimes people get busy, sometimes it's not the right time, but they might be open to it eventually at a certain time. So if you make sure to consistently follow up, then you'll be able to catch them at the right time when they are ready to work with you. One of the biggest things that people who are just starting out on their CRM journey get caught up with is the patience and the longing that they really need to have. You see, most people when they start out, their list of people is going to be pretty small. Think about this. If you can reach out to just 5 people a day and put them on your CRM, and after a month, start following up with those people. So you're going to have about 100 people in your CRM after 1 month. That's 1,200 people after a year. Recognize that is going to be so key when we're looking to follow up. Do you not think that if you had 1,200 people in your CRM and you're not speaking to them for the first time and you're just following up with them, that you wouldn't be able to close 1 or 2% of them? People know that they should be doing it, but they're not doing it because it's tiring, it's boring. But we have to recognize that the biggest thing, and when people ask me which CRM should I use, I tell them whichever one you're going to use, because CRMs are pretty basic. You can use an Excel sheet or you could use one of these apps and they all work. But the question is, what are you going to do? Are you going to take the 3 minutes after you get off a call to put in the information, or are you going to wait and then forget about some of the key points that you actually spoke about? If you're somebody who's speaking to a bunch of people, you have to realize that a lot of the information is going to cross over and we're going to be losing our flavor. We're going to be losing a real sense of the conversation if we wait towards the end of the day. It is so key to recognize that if we want to be able to collect this information, we just have to take the small steps and put in the information. People get nervous about their CRM, but they have to realize that if you're not collecting this information, you are dropping so many people. You are dropping so many sales because all it really takes is just a follow-up. Even nowadays, you could probably automate the follow-up. I personally like to make them personalized. What I'm sure as I continue to grow my business, I'm going to have other people doing it. I'm going to be having automations happening. When it comes to the big picture of having your CRM, make sure that you're writing down all the information that you need. Write down their contact information, write down questions for when you follow up with them. Make sure you follow up every 2 or 3 weeks, and remind yourself that at the end of the day, if I stay in this game long enough, my list is going to be so big that it's going to be hard not to get any sales. Wishing you best of luck on this journey, and understand that sometimes the boring things are the things that are actually going to bring you the most success.